immigrated from Russia. My father was born in San Francisco, and after the Great Earthquake moved to the East Bay with his family. Our grandfather was a rabbi of a little shul that he had down in the 6th Street area of Oakland. My father married late in life. He married my mother when he was almost 40. She moved from Los Angeles to Northern California not really knowing anyone, and somehow she became involved in the women's division of the Federation. And that became her passion. And the Federation in those days, in the 1950s, was not only a charity to raise money, it was a social organization. And she and my father were very active, but also with the same group of people who had a similar mindset. And I remember the main topic of conversation at our dinner table was either work coming out of my dad's mouth, or it was my mom speaking about what was going on in the women's division, what their next program was, their next activity, who she had solicited, who she had gotten involved, and that was their life. Towards the end of their life, they decided they wanted to create a legacy for the future. And how would they do that? So they created a foundation, supporting organization of the Jewish Community Foundation, and the purpose was to endow it with something that would provide a long-term legacy to support Jewish needs in the East Bay. It's just so meaningful to me. I feel like I'm carrying on their tradition, because it's important to support the community, it's important to establish a legacy, and it's important to teach the family from generation to generation what's important, what is the right thing to do, and how you help your community members.
Look how far we've come, look at this community we built, together as one. Every action brings us closer to the future we choose. We have vision, we can imagine tomorrow today. Tomorrow today, where will we be? The coming years, what change will we see? Tomorrow today, our dreams can come true, and every single step is up to me and you. When we give, we will be strong, we can believe. Tomorrow today.
Jewish education is incredibly important because the educators and the institutions themselves partner with us as parents to create this Jewish life that we want for our children. So while they're at school and they're singing Hatikva every day, and they are praying every day, and they're learning Hebrew, so the language of our ancestors, it's just going hand in hand with making challah at home and having Shabbat dinner with family and going to shul on Saturday. And it all just comes together to create a rich and vibrant and alive Jewish world. So every single day, my kids are immersed in Judaism, which is exactly how I want it. So our first child, Leah, started at Oakland Hebrew Day School in kindergarten 7 years ago. She's in 6th grade now. And it was not just phenomenal for her and her own education, but for us as a family. So it changed how we thought about Israel. Instead of just being involved in Israel and going on trips, now we really talked about Israel every single day. And we talked about modern Israel and what Yom Yerushalayim means to us. And then we're going to eat falafel on Yom Ha'atzmaut, and we're going to celebrate all of these things here in the diaspora in the Bay Area. And as my subsequent children have now gone to day school, they've all gotten it, and they each get different parts of it. So some of them connect to the language of Hebrew, and some of them connect to the songs, and some connect to the land of Israel, and some of them just feel like, oh, I'm not the only Jewish kid like I was when I was in preschool. There's a lot of us. So it's everything for us. So Federation has been an incredible partner every single year for Jewish education, for day schools, and every year they provide an impact grant to help more Jewish children experience a Jewish education in the East Bay. And without them, we wouldn't have had a partner who was this consistent year after year after year.
Look how far we've come. Look at this community we built together as one. Every action brings us closer to the future we choose. We have vision. We can imagine tomorrow today. Tomorrow
My father and mother, who I guess when I was born in 46, decided to join the synagogue, Temple Beth Abraham. The dues were $36, and they made a $36 contribution to Federation at that time. So that was that's kind of interesting. My father was heavily involved in Jewish activities, and it all comes from his view that he wanted to give back. He was, his family was very, very poor. They all lived in one room a lot of the time. And they moved from apartment to apartment. They were so poor that she actually had to put the kids in a Jewish orphanage so that she could work full-time to help support them. And of course, an orphanage experience is always a mixed one, but they did learn as kids about Judaism and about the social graces, and it was called Homewood Terrace, and it was an important institution. And they also got help from the Sinai Clinic, Mount Sinai Clinic in San Francisco, and from Hebrew Free Loan. And he never forgot that. So when he became somewhat successful, he said, I want to give back, and became a member of the Federation, and then a board member and campaign chair in the early 70s, and was president. He was president of the JNF, president of the synagogue, served on other boards. And not too long before he died, he was honored, I think, by the San Francisco Federation, where he made this little talk about the importance of giving back. And that was certainly a motivator for myself and my sister. One of my favorite programs that we've been involved with at Federation was Support for Dror Israel. I just think that's a wonderful program. My wife and I had the good fortune to visit the Akko kibbutz that they run, and they do a wonderful job. So we made a point of supporting them as a family, and we're very pleased that Federation has supported them as well. Recently I saw an article about this transition between going from an East Bay program to combining with San Francisco, and somebody speculated that this was partly because the philosophy around philanthropic giving had changed, and we were moving from a philosophy of obligation to one of giving because you feel good. And I understand the point, but I think we should be operating from both and continue to operate on the basis of obligation, because we do owe it to the community to give back, in my view, because of all the things the community has done for us and our forebears. This is a bittersweet moment for me, because we are so identified with the East Bay and have been so involved with the East Bay Federation and Foundation. The fundamental role that Federation plays, among others, is to convene Jews, to help address problems like poverty in our community, to promote Jewish learning, and also to fight anti-Semitism. And that continues to be a great need. So we will always have, in my view, the need for those functions, the convening function and the promoting functions that I mentioned. And to do that, we need money. We need to raise money, and in that regard, I want to thank everybody who's listening for all their support over the years for Federation, and hope that they will continue to support the reconfigured organization so we can meet the needs of the community now and in the future.